Hello. If you want to support us here at The Contemporary Gentleman, you can buy into our Spy series, links below. And depending on when this was recorded, we may or may not have an Instagram and or Patreon. If we do, links are below. Cheers. Hello everyone, James Donaldson here with The Contemporary Gentleman, and I'm bringing you a video on the MCX gas system, specifically the Virtus MCX gas system, because it is not at all what I thought it was going to be. It just blows me away still to this day how many people parrot things that someone says and it's just completely untrue. Yeah, wow. Like for instance, off topic, but still gun related, magazines. Guess what? By keeping them loaded, you're really not wearing out the spring. Metal wears out through constant use, whether it's a thermal cycle, like getting hot and then cold again, and back and forth, especially the hotter and the colder, but also through wear. So springs wear out because they're being used. So don't put your constantly used range mags that compress and then release the springs in with your concealed carry. Keep your concealed carry mags because they're not getting worked out, so they're going to stay feeding well. Wow, I just went on to a whole tangent without meaning to. Anyway, gas system MCX, not very good suppressed. You're going to want a high flow suppressor. Do keep in mind that I've been using a 30 cal can, and that's been okay. Now also we're talking, it's really bad with the SBRs, so kind of to start this off, I had a Mark 18, was ready to just kind of move on to something a little more refined, a little more practical. I guess I'm using that word loosely. And so I thought the piston system and the MCX specifically was going to be a good departure from an AR gas system, because piston guns do well with gas, right? No. Come to find out that not just the MCX, but most piston guns, very testy with suppressors. While without a suppressor, they manage gas great, but a suppressor changes the variables a lot when it comes to how the gas system works. So basically, on the piston system, the gas has less places to go. So like looking here at this one, gas comes down the barrel. Of course, we got our dwell time here, and we increase the dwell time to some degree, adding a can, not by a lot, still a lot less pressure, but there's still pressure. Anyway, the gas comes up through into the gas block, and on an AR-15, the gas could then keep expanding back down this way toward the chamber. In this case, it blows off a port here and a little bit out of these kind of ports right here. So what I'm getting at is that because there's no gas tube, the gas doesn't have as far to expand. So it just kind of overpressurizes and more of it comes back down the barrel as it does in other scenarios. So what's interesting about that is still parts of the internals were surprisingly clean after firing the suppressed a lot. So my Gemtech G5, which I always talk about, is very gassy, because it is. I couldn't finish zeroing this gun in the 11.5 configuration. Now, I could use it on a 16-inch pretty much just fine, but I could tell it was beating up the internals excessively more than even just the Gemtech 1, so just 30 cal can with some updated internals. So, especially in 11.5, I ran the 1 on it, and the 16-inch, when I had that, I ran the 1 on that just to kind of save on parts wear. So, but let's talk kind of specifics about the gas system, right? So, let's talk about function. Alright, so let's talk the gas system. So we got gas coming down here. Now you can see that vent right there. Oh boy, crazy. Okay, adjust. So you can see this vent. Now when the bolt is forward, so is this. So the gas comes into here, and then you've got basically the valve, which is kind of a barrel, right? And then it's got annular cavity, so space between the valve and the inside of this gas port. And so when gas hits, depending on which hole, some of the gas, how much depends on the valve position, will come around the barrel and exit the top here out of that hole right there. Now the rest of the gas will go on the inside and push this piston and actuate that. Now as it's actuated backward, right, there's divots in here, a couple of them, so gas can escape out that way and out. I don't actually love that. I kind of wish it diverted as much gas as it could forward, especially because when you had devices like a PEC 15 or something on there, it's depending where I've had the pack or had my hand positioned while shooting it, especially in 11.5 because of where the gas block sits, not so much a problem on 300 blackout. My hand gets very dirty. So honestly, this gun has made me wear gloves more because of that. Now, is that such a problem? I don't recommend this gun or anything like that. Spoiler alert to the MCX video. The overall MCX video, no, this is acceptable. And it's not totally a departure from other designs to include various AR-15 gas block designs, especially if you add a Adams arm or superlative arms piston kit on an AR. Very similar kind of deal. So no, this is a complaint, not an objection, right? Difference being complaint, I like this thing a lot, it'd be great if it didn't do this, but no, life goes on. Versus an objection, no, I don't recommend it, or no, I won't buy it, or no, I want to get rid of this because of this. Not the case at all. This is an acceptable design, but again, setting expectations is what a lot of these videos are about. I will throw in that, of course, you can adjust the gas with this bad boy right here. And so this way is plus, this way is minus. Alright, so I hope that visual kind of cleared up any question about how the gas system works, because very much so, trying to figure out what it would take to modify the gas system, I really needed to get a better idea of exactly what was happening in there, especially when suppressed, which of course just turns up the intensity factor to 11 apparently. So with that in mind, there are different gas keys, the gas valves really, different gas valves that have different size openings for both the 300 blackout and the 5.56. Now, a couple things with that. One, you can, if you pester them enough apparently at SIG, get them to give you different valve. So even though it's not recommended, or they really just sell it to you based on what you have, I think they're just trying to safeguard people from screwing up their systems. And then maybe no one catches it and SIG does warranty work and basically loses money when they wouldn't have otherwise. But anyway, you can try other valves. I just didn't, because it was going to be a lot to screw with, but also in coming to get more familiar with the system, I think what it really comes down to is managing the gas coming into the block at all. But I don't know. I go back and forth on a good way to design some kind of aftermarket part to get around some of this. But hopefully with this video, if someone sees it, maybe Mototech, they'll kind of see how this works, which is different than the SCAR. You know, this little gas system does work different than the SCAR. But maybe somebody will see this and it'll give them a light bulb, and they're probably more engineering savvy and smarter than me, so they'll figure something out and make money. And you know what? In return, if I get so much as a like, I'll take it. But now moving on, it is important to note that the 300 Blackout and the 5.56 guns do operate differently. The 5.56 should always be in the minus, suppressed or not. And then if you're in adverse conditions, which I have found, you need to hit the plus to up the gas movement, and then you know, it'll run harder, but it'll power through some stuff. Now the funny thing is, of course, if you throw a suppressor on in the minus setting, you're kind of doing that anyway, so you don't really need the plus setting, and definitely not suppressed. Now the 300 Blackout is different. Its holes are very much different, as I've rolled in pictures, but 300 Blackout, you basically want to be in plus all the time unless you're running subs, which are not going to cycle the gun. So that's kind of how that works. You want that gas coming through, cycling, or no, good God. You want it in minus unless you're using subs. So you want less gas, unless you're using subs, then of course you're getting significantly less pressure, and so you want to amp that pressure up by using the plus side. So both you kind of use in minus a lot, unless you're me and or you're like me and you shoot subs a lot, then it's in plus pretty much all the time. But yeah, so a lot of people just said it's suppressed and unsuppressed settings. That's not what they are. Stop saying that. It actually technically has nothing to do with the suppressor being on there, because granted I didn't bother trying it, but without a can in plus with the subs would probably still cycle the gun. So there you have it as far as all that goes. Trying to think if there's anything else. Don't really have anything. So if I ever try out different gas keys or something, I'll do an update on that. The other thing I want to say is I will be testing out a spear as it happens. Someone's liked my Virtus work. But on top of that, it has a different gas system, which is really what intrigued me. So anyway, I look very much forward to testing that over really anything else as far as the spear goes. So more on that to come. Until then, this has been James Donaldson with the Contemporary Gentleman, and until next time, keep your composure.